Hello and welcome to all of you out there. This is a video about a very short video for each and every single sign, what this full moon in Gemini is going to mean and what does it mean for all of us. First of all, let's get started with that. Now, the details are that around the 7th, the 8th of December, the moon will be full in Gemini at 16 degrees. So we are going to have a moon at 16 degrees of Gemini opposing the sun at 16 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, the full moon, and that happens every year around this time. So you're going to feel it very strongly around the 7th, the 8th, the 9th of the month of December. But the thing is, it's one of my favorite full moons. Normally, it's one of my favorite full moons. Why? Because a full moon in Gemini, full moons are all about things come to light, things come to consciousness, things get to fruition, you could say. It's a lot of clarity when we have full moons. And Gemini is one of the most fun, exciting, quick, bold, witty. They say Gemini is a trickster. It's a very smart sign. It's a very intellectual sign. And it's a bit all over the place, but it understands everything. It's the journalist of the zodiac. It knows everything a little bit, but not into the depth, you could say. But so Gemini, mostly when there are full moons in Gemini, it's fantastic to have a party. It's fantastic to have people together, gathering. It's an air sign. So air is all about talking, communication, and so on. So mostly it's fantastic. But there is a little but here because, and it's exact, which is something that doesn't happen a lot. During this full moon, we always, as an astrologer, we need to look at what the whole picture is. What are the other planets doing? And it's Mars that is really, Mars and Neptune is really strongly putting their emphasis on this full moon. Namely, Mars is exactly conjunct the sun in Sagittarius at 16 degrees as well. So it's together there, and it is opposing. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to record this, but it is the sun at 16 degrees of Sagittarius and Mars in Gemini and Mars in, oh my God, I can't come out of my words. But this is human. I'm also human. But it's witty. It's the Mars and the moon together. They are joining together in Gemini at 16 degrees. Let's explain this. What is this all about? Maybe I should do some visual things adding up to this. But hey, give write in the comments if you would like that, doing some visuals and all of that. Anyway, what does it mean? If we look in a natal chart, what the sun opposing Mars, first and foremost, wants to mean. It means competition. It means the sun opposite Mars is one of the most male energies that one can get. And if that is in a natal chart, it's all about, you find it a lot in people who do sports for a living, who are very competitive, who play basketball in a team, and they have that winner capacity. That is sun opposing Mars. So that is already the energy. But it's very fiery, of course, right? It's you could say your competitors, they quite are even, you could say, with the Mars opposites the sun. But the moon with Mars, moon conjunct Mars, although it is in Gemini, and luckily it is in Gemini, because Gemini is a mental sign, but the moon together with Mars is a very explosive energy. It's like, hey, who is working on my nerves? That's moon conjunct Mars. It's the angry person. It's, I think I'm thinking of Alain Delon now, the French actor. Not that I know him, but I know in his chart that, of course, I don't know him. Mais naturellement, je ne connais pas. Je ne le connais pas. I think this is good French. I hope it is. But anyway, you see, it's Gemini energy. I'm all over the place. I'm tapping into this energy. And luckily, I'm not angry. yet. But the moon with Mars is very agitated energy. And I think that actor was known for having a bit of a temper. That is exactly what moon conjunct Mars is. In a positive way, it's passionate, it's like having a moon in Aries. The moon is in Gemini, but when it's with Mars, it's acting out like a bit of a moon in Aries. It's very impulsive, it's very, it wants things yesterday, but in a good way, it's very enthusiastic, it's very courageous, and it's a go-getter. So if you are like afraid of doing something, a moon Mars energy can give you that. Well, it's not giving you that. It's reflecting an energy of, yeah, I'm going to do this, even though I'm scared of it. So as you probably know how I do these videos and how I do astrology, you can use this energy at its worst. You can use this energy at its best. Now, all of this, why is this happening? So a lot of in the mental signs, which is all about communication. So a lot of volatile, explosive energy. So of course, we will have to watch out for discussions. We will have to watch out for blow-ups of energies and, things that have been stuffed. It's going to explode quite easily with this moon and Mars together there. Let's have a look at the rulership of Mercury, where it is in, because that shows us the field and the energy that we are going to express it and what the purpose. It gives us something to look at when it comes to the purpose. Now, the moon is in Gemini, which is Mercury ruled, and Mercury will be in Capricorn. Now, there is the first thing that we see. Okay, so all of this fuss and stuffed up energy and volatile energy is because we want to structure something. We want to improve something that is not okay yet, or has to be reviewed. And why am I saying redone, reviewed? Because this Mercury in Capricorn is already slowing down at that moment, at that particular moment. It's in Capricorn. It wants to structure something. It wants to improve something. It wants something to be done in a proper way, in the way that it should be, with from A to B to C, not with a shortcut. Less is more, that kind of mentality. Mercury in Capricorn wants competence. It wants quality. Now, this Mercury at the end of the year, so at the end of December, the last day, the 30th of December, it goes retrograde in that same sign of Capricorn. So for each and every single sign, it's going to be important to look at where Mercury is, because that is where it's all about. That's the deeper layer. So you could say the Gemini thing is at the surface. It's something blows up, it's something annoys us, but actually the deeper meaning is where Mercury is. So let's get down to it. Let's have a look at what it's all very simple, right? But something that I did forget is the help. There is a helpline. There is a helpline for sure, because this very explosive Mars moon energy is having a trine to Saturn, and that is good. So we're also going to look at where Saturn is, so where you could say the reasoning is, and when the mentality of responsibility is, so that we can tap into that. So let's get started. First and foremost, we are going to have a look where the trouble is, you could say, or where the expansiveness and the explosiveness is, rather. And then we are going to have a look at how we can deal with it at its best, because this energy at its best, it's about communication, driven by passion, but structured, used to do this in a very constructive way, to make changes in a slow way, but sure way. So let's get started with Aries. This is all happening in the house of communication, which is your third house. So there is going to be the annoyance. It's going to be from it could be a sibling. It could be someone in the neighborhood. It could just be you feeling very agitated because the things that are going on are really annoying you. I didn't mention the Neptune in the overall, because that is fading away. So the Neptunian not knowing what's going on is fading away, but there's definitely something annoying you. And the deeper reason actually why this is happening is work and career, or a parent, or how you want to be seen in the world. Because this Mercury, the ruler of this moon, is in your highest point of your horoscope. So there is going to be some changes, and there is going to be done the work, the deep work that needs to be done. And you can better start already now. So when the Mercury goes backwards, you can review already what you have implemented today or tomorrow or the upcoming days. So actually, if you want to know where this annoyance is coming from, if you want to know why this frustration is coming from, it's actually from the work area, or a parent that is really, really annoying you, and you need to look at the structure of your connection with your parent. What can help you to soothe everything, you could say, but in a very rational, responsible way? Do a call to your friends. Saturn is in your 11th house. Make use of your friends, make use of your connections to improve this, to help you with this energy. Go out and do some great stuff with them. Be very active with them, not only in your communication, but also in doing something for the long term. So you will be fine, dear Aries people, because this Gemini energy is sextiling you. So you are one of those that can probably deal a little bit better with this energy, because you are Aries and you already are passionate, and you already are someone who really is very honest in how they speak. So it could be also someone around you, a sibling or a neighbor that is annoying you, and it could have to do indeed with how you present yourself in your work. Strange links there. It is what it is. Taurus people, this is not the most difficult full moon for you, but it is all about your finances, your confidence. So it's pretty, when you talk about it is your area of your life, because the second house is the Taurus house. So yes, it's not going to be life changing, but there's definitely something from my resources, the resources of my spouse or my boyfriend, girlfriend, especially when you live with someone and you share resources, there's going to be some conflict there. There's going to be deep things that, going back and forwards, power struggle. I want this, but you want that. Don't fall for that, because you know that the deeper root of it, the deeper problem, you could say, is the way that you view life, which is the 9th house. Because there is where Mercury is going to be backwards and forwards. There is where there needs to be work done in a slow but surely way. And this Mercury retrograde in your 9th house is about you are proved, or you are convinced of something that might not be the truth, or that might have a need for a review. So try to be as open as you can. Yes, you don't have to let other people walk all over you, or you do the same to others, but shift your mindset. That's the biggest work on your mindset, and on a clearer one, and on a better structured one. And a mindset, I mean, how you look at things. Maybe you need to look a different way to certain things about life in general. And what can help you is actually your work. Saturn is in your 10th house of work. So what can help you to release the tension is actually working. I can't say it in other words. It's like that. Anyway, Geminis. Watch out, dear Geminis. It's all about you. It's this moon and Mars explosive energy in your first house. Of course, it's your relationships. They are going to trigger you. So the trigger lies there. The volatile energy lies there. Expect some really heavy conversations coming up there. But of course, know that what goes deeper is fear, because Mercury, the ruler of this full moon, is in your 8th house, the house of fear, the house of also shared resources. So it could also have to do if you are in a relationship with the money that you share with another person, and how you are investing it, how you are doing it. There could be some quarrels there. So be very careful with not overdoing this. And yes, you can show what's going on with you, but also listen to that other person, because that is where the sun is, and they also have something to say. And the trick is as well, the support that you're getting is from the 9th house where Saturn is. So go for a trip if you can, or not a trip, go away to another country, to another culture, to that can stabilize you. And if you say it's not possible, go and read a book, a philosophical book, so that you get a little bit more of the bigger picture behind all this, and then you will be fine. But yes, you can make sure that you and another person are really if you're single, for instance, this could be a very passionate energy that someone really triggers you tremendously, and this can work out really in a positive way, that you say, look, I'm scared of intimacy because I need to be vulnerable here, but I'm doing it anyways, that kind of vibe. Cancerians, this is happening this full moon in your 12th house. So probably you are going to be not really aware what's going on, or not really understanding it at first, because the 12th house is your subconscious. It's what you're not conscious of. So what can help is writing down what you're dreaming of. So your dreams can really, really show you the clue. You could dream, for instance, that you're fighting with someone, but fighting not physically, but mentally. And that because of this energy, this mental energy of Gemini in your 12th house. Now write it down, because it's going to give you some clues about the deeper reason, because the deeper reason is where Mercury is, and it's in your opposite sign of relationship. So this is actually all about the restlessness that you have, is all about relationships. It's all about your significant other. There are some things, some structures that need to be redone, and you've got time for this. You've got, like, at the end of the month, you've got time to reassess and to re-implement and so on, and things will shift after the 18th, 19th of January. But that is the key here, your relationships. If you're not in a relationship, it could mean that someone is really having your attention there, and you unconsciously already are aware that this person is going to be super significant for you. But it's again about the structure. It's again about the structure of you relating to other people in a more, you could say, not that you're not relating sincerely before, but in a more sincere, responsible, constructive way. Leos, this is happening in your 11th house, and this is quite a fun energy still, because it sextiles your energy, and the sun is even trining your energy. So it shouldn't be that bad. But expect the 11th house is the house of friends, the house of your goals, your aspirations. So expect some friction there, that there is some friction between you, how you want to have fun, or how you relate to your friends, and what the differences are between you and friends. There could be a male figure, a male friend, or a woman, but with a lot of male energy, you could say, a go-getter's mentality that is really annoying you, or a friend is annoyed by you. So that is the trigger. But the underlining source of all of this, because of the rulership of Mercury is in your 6th house, it's your day-to-day life. It's your day-to-day routines. It's your work. So when you go to the deepest level, you heal the fastest. And to work and to know that you will have to make some changes in your routines. You will have to maybe you are not being healthy, or not having 3 meals a day, maybe 1 meal a day, and maybe you're not taking care well enough of yourself. That feels like no good, and because of that, you just have fight with your friends because they trigger you. There is a trigger, you could say. So don't blame the friends too much. Of course, distance yourself when they're being toxic, of course, but make sure that you do some actions already, not waiting until the end of the month, but already today doing some actions around improving your health, but also, and in little things, but in very structural, disciplinary kind of things. Don't wait after January. Start already today, and you will be fine. The Virgos, this is a very important full moon for you because you are a mutable sign, and this is all happening in mutable energy, and it's at the peak of your chart that is going to be the trigger. So your work, your or if you're not working, maybe a parent, and if that is not the case, it's really how you want to be seen by the world. That is this trigger. So in a positive way, you can be very passionate. You can work very, very hard around these days. I know most people, they kind of slow down during the end of the year, but you not. No. It's actually best for you to keep going with your passions, and but what is and doing so and putting out that energy there. If you work for a boss, be very mindful, because that person can really, really trigger you and can really annoy you, and really show the difference and the imbalance between your work and life area. But actually, the core of all of this is Mercury, you, being in the 5th house. So the core of all of this is looking at, are you still having fun whilst all you are doing this? And if so, if you are saying, yeah, my work is fun, and you can do things even to improve this. You can do things and watch the monthly horoscopes to know a little bit more about it. But it's all about improvement and of the structure of you having fun and you earning that, and your connection with your children, your connection with your own heart, basically. It's because of that there is a trigger. The work is just a trigger. So it could be someone really working on your nerves, but the trigger is because you're not expressing yourself fully enough, that kind of stuff. What is supporting you is, in a strange way, also your work, but because of Saturn there in your 6th house, but it's also your healthy routines. So taking care of yourself physically, mentally, is really going to help you. Doing your exercises on a daily basis, for instance, for 10 minutes, it's going to help you with how to keep this energy in balance and put this energy at its most positive. Librans, this is not the most important full moon. Actually, for you, it's a bit of a nicer full moon because it's in a fellow air sign. And this is happening in your 9th house, the moon and Mars. So the trigger could be that you're traveling and things are not going as you wish they were. It can also mean studies, that there is a lot of angriness. Use your fear or use your angriness to be determined and to work hard and to study hard, for instance. But for many of you, the deeper course is actually you, your own security, because Mercury is going to go backwards and forwards at the end of the year in your 4th house of emotional well-being. So it is there that your structures need to be redone, so to speak, so that you have a better perspective in life in general, because the 9th house is the house of your opinions, the house of how you view things in life. Are you wearing a pink color glasses, or are you wearing the dark colored glasses, and how to balance that more? What can help you and support you is your hobbies, and in a rather, you could say, stable way, because Saturn in the 5th house, also your children, to spend some time with your children, to do those obligations, but it can make things more, it can keep things more in perspective, and that is a really good thing there. Scorpios, this is not the most important full moon, but it's a bit your cup of tea because it's happening in your house, which is the 8th house. This full moon enlightens the 8th house, and this is all about values. This is all about power. And don't you know a lot about that already just by being born as a Scorpio, or moon in Scorpio, or a rising sign in Scorpio? The trigger could be fear. Very often for Scorpios, they know that their triggers, they should not run away from them. Because they know that their triggers, that fear, when it comes up, and it could be very mentally, because it's in Gemini, that it is a key to unlock something. If we go deeper and if we understand it, the root of the matter, and if we go through the pain that we are trying to avoid in the first place. Now, Mercury ruled, this Mercury in Capricorn is in your 3rd house. So this is the real trouble, you could say, or not the trouble, but the real challenge is the way that you think. So what is all causing these fears? What is all causing these on another level? It could be finances as well, that something triggers you with the finances that you share with another person, that there is triggering you something between what you want, what that other person wants, and they want to buy that car, you want to buy another car, that kind of thing. It's very mundane, but what is a trigger? It's communication and how you think and how you express yourself. That third house. But definitely on a deeper level, when it's about fears, it's about knowing that you are doing it yourself, those fears, by the narratives that you are saying to yourself and you have an opportunity to shift them for sure, even when they are a little bit compelling and it's difficult. But the first thing is to know it. And that's what this Mercury is all about, in Capricorn, is going backwards and forwards in that third house. So you have a great opportunity to kind of the synapses in your head that are going on that are not so good, to deconstruct them and to do them in a different way. And that's your cup of tea, dear Scorpios, to deconstruct and to construct anew, which is far more healthier and not toxic anymore. Sagittarians, wow. Those of you who have planets around 16 degrees of Sagittarians, you will feel this very strongly. And this is all about you and others. A significant other, if you are in a relationship, it's definitely your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, and there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of things that the moon and the Mars in the 7th house is someone is pissed off, you could say. And it's probably that other person. But the thing is, with just going into it and just also fueling it, it's going to get worse. Of course, you need to say your truth because the sun is in your sign. So you need to say your truth as well. But you need to know that bottom line is values. Why? Because the rulership of this full moon is in Capricorn, in your 2nd house. So this is not about things or little things, or from the surface it can look very, very stupid, but deeper it is about you, how you value yourself and how you feel valued by the other person, or not. And the other way around with that other person might say, hey, but I don't feel valued. And to talk about this and to put in a strategic way, you've got time for this, but in a strategic way, in a very slow way as well, to have a look at what it is that you value a lot, what they value a lot, and how you can come back with in alignment, you could say, with both of you. Now, what can help you, which is Saturn in your 3rd house, is the support of siblings, the support of your neighborhood, right? Neighbors, people that are around you. That can really, really help you, and to communicate in a very slow way, to slow down basically. And also to get physical, because this is a very, very mental energy in your 7th house. So get physical with your spouse, with your partner, and it could, it's the typical energy I find, like quarreling or discussing and then the makeup, love, or how do they call that? It's that kind of energy. But the root of the matter is your values, for sure. So don't run away of having a new light on those values of yours and the other person. If you are single, it can mean that there is someone very hot out there, and there is a lot of energy of a lot of sexuality. Sex is in the air, I would say, but there's a lot of sexual energy here available. So although it is an opposition, you can certainly express this and enjoying this to the fullest. And it's a lot of mental energy as well. So it's like you're being aroused by how they talk, how they present themselves almost. And so that is a nice thing. But again, the trigger is your values. So even with a new relationship, or if you're single, for instance, and someone is catching your eye, mind your values, or keep your values high, right? Don't lower them. That's basically it. Capricorns, this is not the most important full moon, but this is happening in your 6th house of your day-to-day life. So there's something about, there could be some burst outs at the office, basically, or it could mean that you have a lot of fire to do some new stuff when it comes to your day-to-day routine. So you can use it in a good way mentally, for sure, but you will have to express it in a physical way as well. The 6th house, when you want to use that in the best way, it's also to do some physicalities and to do some things that will help you to get unstuck, especially when you feel a little bit stuck there. Because the root of all of this, maybe you not being content at work, or a colleague not being content there, or people that work for you, there could be a blow up there because you're not okay with what they're doing, and blah, blah, blah. But don't undermine yourself. Don't sabotage yourself, you could say, because the deeper reason is you. With Mercury in your 1st house, it means that you need to present yourself in a new way. Maybe you are too soft and you need to be a little bit stronger there and with better boundaries. Or the opposite. Maybe you are too strict and people are not taking that from you. The builder in your house says, screw you, right? Or, I can't say these things, can I? But anyway, it's about that. So it definitely is all about you. It definitely is all about how you reprofile yourself, and in a different way that is way stronger than before. But it will take some time, and you've got the time to do this for sure with the retrograde in your sign. But basically use that at its best, not to get too annoyed, but to improve the self basically in a more authentic way, in a more real way. Aquarians, this is not the most worst. You could say it's quite a gentle energy for you, this full moon, because it's in a fellow air sign and it's in a very fun house, in the 5th house. I mean, that means that there's something about your heart chakra. When you're single, for instance, wow, this could be actually a very passionate moment or moments, and you really going into a new romance that is enormously fiery, sexual, but also mental. You could say, like, the person arouses you by their mind arouses you, you could say, with all this energy over there. And it's definitely, you can use that in a very fun way. And but of course, if it's like your kids, it could also mean in a challenging way that your kids are really annoying you, or they are very annoyed by you. And the root of the matter, you could say, is your blind spot. So Mercury is going to go backwards and forwards in your 12th house. That is a difficult house to understand, but it's all about not understanding yourself. So you will have to go and do a little bit of shadow work, which is you go into the root of the matter, and what kind of pattern am I doing that is from generation to generation, and that I need to let go of, and that I need to do in a different way, so to speak. And you are going to be your own best support system, because Saturn is in your sign. And that means that, if you're having quarrels and discussions with your kids, or if a project is not working and it's frustrating you extremely, or your friends are included as well in this whole pictures and they're not doing what you want them to do because it's in opposition to the sun in your 11th house, then you can always say, look, hey, I'm going to keep the feet on the ground. I'm going to use my reasoning, and I'm going to do this step by step. I'm not going to solve this problem in a 1, 2, 3. I've got time for this. When Mercury goes direct in your 12th house, after the 18th, 19th, you're going to have way more clues of understanding what's going on and what you need to heal and to let go of all patterns. Last but not least, Pisceans, very important full moon, especially when you have planets around 16 degrees of Pisces. You will feel this very, very, very strongly. And it's happening in your 4th house, which is your emotional security, which is literally your home. You could be very annoyed at home, or someone at home is annoying you, a family member, a relative that is deeply, deeply annoying you, and you had it with them and they had it with you. But the root of the matter is the 11th house. The root of the matter, the Mercury, is here in Capricorn in your 11th house, which is the house of your goals. So the root of the matter is that you need to change the way you view yourself in the future, and to maybe to have some new goals, or to rethink some goals of yours. Also friendships, there could be some friendships that are really annoying you, or some friendships that are not really truly healthy. The connection between both of you, in the 50-50, you could say, maybe you give too much, or they take too much, or you take too much, and you feel it and you don't feel in balance because of that. So there are the shifts that you can make. But what can help you is truly the support of Saturn in your 12th house, which is decluttering. That is the ideal energy of decluttering. Declutter your closet of clothes, declutter books, whatever it is. But also when it comes to meditation, when it comes to becoming more still and having more private time, and you're going to enjoy it even. So yes, yeah, it's about making better structures for the future, basically, for the Pisceans. For sure, you have an opportunity to make better structures for the future. So stand still with them, and around the 18th, 19th of January, off you go with the new plans, off you go with the new view for your future. Having said that, I wish everyone a very, very good full moon, and see you next time. Bye-bye.